Hey, what's going on? Today's going to be kind of a weird show. We're going to talk about some odd elements to try and use, but let me get my monitor up for when that happens, just so that I don't miss anything. Because any questions you have, feel free to hit me up as we're doing this, because I've got pretty much all my elements within reach. So if you want to see if something else works instead of what I'm trying, just let me know, and we can give that a shot. All right, so. Oh, there we go. All right. So yeah, here we are. But yeah, we got a couple of different things to talk about today. Primarily, we're going to be concerned with using how to use video elements, such as this strange thing here, these little bits, and then most of the other stuff in video you can figure out something to use it for because it's got studs attached, right? And then for dots, we got all these bracelets here, and we're going to look at a couple different ways that you can use these and attach them together, and not necessarily use them as personal augmentation, but you can use them in a build somewhere. So yeah, we got that going today. Also, I am working on. I'm going to get back into trying to do instructions because. Little dude here needs some instructions. I went ahead and because I broke down the Monkey Kid neck and had turquoise hearts, I went ahead and put some little clovers around the edge there with some dark pink ones that I already had. Yeah, so I went through and this is like the prototype build. So I updated the prototype build to the version that I sent to Flynn. Which is a lot easier to build, like almost intuitively you can build it. That's why I didn't feel so bad about not putting instructions in there, but I know that thing's not gonna get built because it doesn't have instructions, so I'm gonna work on that. But yeah, this little dude, so cute, and yeah, I'm gonna see what happens. Trying to get that to work because there's a couple little Easter eggs in the build, which I think would be cool for fans of the game or fans of brickheads, just something a little different on the inside there. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at the dots and stuff, but we're gonna do that in a minute because I've got a couple builds I've done over the last week or so, and I want to kind of share them a little bit, see what I've done here and where I might have succeeded and where I may have failed. So please feel free to learn from my failures because I make them frequently. Here's something that could be a failure. I don't know. I'm an architecture nut. It's obvious. I mean, I got a portrait of Mies van der Rohe up there, right? So of course, of course, and all that jive. But yeah, so there is a Japanese, I believe it's an apartment building or a hotel that's just like all these little cubes connected in like these little cells, and it's all just kind of bunched up together, and stacked on top of each other, and it looks really amazing. So I kind of tried to emulate that because as I was watching Moto's, I was watching Moto's recap for the Lego Masters, the last season 2 episode that we saw. I was kind of doodling with bricks, as one is wont to do in a situation as such. But yeah, so I tried to see what I could do for that building something like that. This is what I came up with. This is not great. I'm bringing it a little closer here. I covered it with. It looked better before I started covering it with these pearlescent dots. But now it kind of looks like some kind of bubble monster or like sea creature thing, and it's like all the architectural intent or implication here is just wiped clean. So yeah, this thing is weird, and I don't know, like if I switch the color, because I've got like I could do the sparkly blue dots instead for windows, but honestly I think this thing is a lost cause, which is really sad because I was like, as I was putting this together, I was like, that's going to be a pain to break down. It's not like tough, but that's a lot of dots to remove. And I'm notorious for setting myself up for a lot of dots to remove. It's never a pleasure, but there are expedient ways to do it. And someday, when we'll talk about mosaics on here, and we'll explore quick ways to undo what you may have done. So there are ways to get through it quicker, and especially now that the fat brick separator is out, I mean, it can go even quicker for you. But I've got like a zip technique. I'll show you things. But another thing that we're doing right now, Brickanista and I are working on the hashtag rebrick this July 21 set, and that actually it's a choice of sets or a choice of multiple sets. It's become kind of a weird beast, which is fantastic, because the sets are the bride and the groom brickheads, which are amazing, and I got these like as soon as they came out, because I try to be up on what's coming out soon. And when these dropped back in the day, I had already like examined the packaging so closely. I was pretty sure that there was going to be like a mad surplus of awesomeness, coming from this, because we got 306 pieces here for like $12.99, which is amazing. And over here on the groom, 255 pieces, same price. Now with the groom, you get more brick because you have alternate tuxedo builds. You could do black or dark blue, and you got that hat in there. So you got some curved pieces. So there's some fun stuff in here, which makes it a little bit different than this. There's only one dress style, unfortunately. Hey, Brickanista, what's going on? Talking about the brickheads, and then gonna show what I tried to think happened here. But yeah, so that, and I mean, it shows all kinds of different builds and stuff that you could do. And the bonus here is the hairstyles, because that's where you get the 1x2 curve slopes, which are so cool. And you get them in nice earthy tones. Like you get yellow, because you're going to get yellow, because blonde people are, they're a fact. It's a reality. You have to accept it. But you also have like medium nougat. You have black, I believe brown as well, and you get kind of the same thing for the hair treatment and the groom. However, you don't have flowing hair with the groom, which I think maybe kind of an oversight, as well as the fact that they don't include enough 2x4 plates to make a bald individual. So I had to, the first time I got this, because I wanted to make a brickhead of me and T, and I did. But like her outfit is not that wedding dress. It's like a really cool leather jacket look, because yeah, that dress thing was out. But yeah, so like trying to make my head, that's going to be all tan plates, and there's enough to make a face and a little bit on the sides here. So I had to go and that was a while ago. Like I think you can look back in my videos and see like a old bricks and pieces haul that I had, which would kind of date when this whole thing was going down. And I got those 2x4 tan plates, and it was actually right around the time that MOCkery came out, because I got some of those like 2-cent bananas and the little grill angled bits. Some of the drum lacquer gold had rubbed off on one of the tan plates, which I thought was kind of an amazing thing. And so that's around here somewhere. So yeah, that's there. That happened. That's in the past. But let's take a look at what I built. So let's go with the bride first, because I think the bride was a little bit more successful than what I got for the groom. Although I tried to keep them similar in theme, so they fit together and look nice. So the first one, we have just a little hut, little cabin, a little woodsy house. The door treatment, I'm not 100% jazzed on, but the windows, that's where I really think this thing kind of leaps out. Hey, Koi, what's going on? And then you see here, got a little smokestack with the bride comes with a lot of flowers, the 1x1 flower studs, and a couple out front there, looking like some kind of odd plant ornamentation going around the front. And then, like I say, there's a lot of bits in here. So another thing I have here is just this little barn with a light out front. And yeah, I kind of hid the door side because, big round windows like that, it's quite a leap for this old schoolish architecture. So yeah, and then as if there weren't enough pieces to use, and all that's left over from this is a 1x2 tan tile, as well as some of the individual 1x1 stuffs. But yeah, just a little flower garden, little plot there with the glasses used as a fence, which is a technique I've used before. before. Like I've used them as railings. They're great things. I never really used them as glasses, but I guess I can now because I do wear glasses. But not when I'm here because I can see everything that's right in front of me. But like when you get to a distance, I can't drive without thinking the windows are dirty. Okay, so that was the bride. Now we're going to take a look at the groom and see what I was able to manage out of that. Which, I mean, and these are hollow structures for sure. But because brickheads have snot bricks, I mean, structurally, right? So yeah, this one it looks a little beefier, a little stronger as far as like, you know, out in the woods domicile would go. And there are I'll say this now, there are an odd number of 1x2 brown slopes in here. So this little back bit looks a little greebly and whatnot. Hey, what's going on, Joel? The TNT van. Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. It doesn't launch pizzas though. I do have to work on that. That's a feature I got to try and figure out. But yeah, so this little deal here, I think it works as a cool little cabin, you know, if you bend your imagination a little bit and your sense of architectural integrity. Sure, yeah, that's that. But then this one I also made a little flower plot too. And I think was trying to go for some kind of like birdhouse, hen house or something, and have the little yellow birds on the ground there. So that's what's going on with that. And then, you know, there's still enough pieces left over to try and do something. So, you know, I tried to fudge together some kind of modern looking house, which looks really out of place next to these guys. And it doesn't even look like a house. It just looks like I threw some stuff together. But like when you look at it on its own, you can kind of see more of a modernistic version of a house, large windows, like extremely large windows. So, and I mean, it only looks good from this side. You turn it around, it's just like, but yeah, so something like that. So that's all I was able to get from my attempt at the first round on these. I'm going to throw them back in their respective boxes because I love these. You just have to cut the plastic or cut the tape and tuck them in. You got your boxes right there. Just to keep everything together. So there. And I've been waiting to do this. I've been waiting to show these so I can put them back in the box so I can start over with something else. Because I'm like, yeah, these were okay, but I want to see what else is there. Thanks, Brickanista. Yeah, they were fun. And we are drinking from the Donkey Kong mug today. Because you got to, right? And that's one of those dream mocks, right? To make the level from Donkey Kong with like roller coaster track and supports and stuff like that. That's a good one. All right, so what else are we going to talk about here before we get into the meat of the thing? What other little builds do I have lying around? Well, this week, if you tune into the Tricky Bricks building chat, we had like a little micro city thing for the build challenge. So let's build a 16x16 micro city. Or you could do Micropolis, or, you know, if you want to do the scale and the standard thing, which the only standards we know around here are just, you know, old songs. But yeah, so here's mine. This is downtown scene. And I just wanted to use with this really, yeah. The mini city next to this city it's kind of weirding me out a little bit. But yeah, so what I wanted to do here is all the trans clear, trans green, trans red, trans yellow, all the plates that I had. I wanted to use them as windows and just make a variety of buildings that kind of echo each other, but they have their own unique identity in this urban space. See there? And so, I mean, it's a diverse area that harmonizes, and that's really what I like to see in a city. Yeah, that's my thing. Like I want to see strangeness and uniqueness, but I also want to see a conversation in there too, you know. Yeah, I speak a little bit weird about architectural things, and I apologize for that. Don Brickopolis, thanks. Yeah, that one was fun. Really big fan of how that turned out. But I was so big of a fan And Brickanista's BBN tower was awesome, which is what led us to our talk today. So this is kind of a little bit of, you know, foreshadowing, or, you know, whatever you want to call that. Hey, Aquamike, what's going on? What is the key to a great Lego room? Having the space to devote to it, and deciding this is going to be your build area, and this is going to be where you're going to set your stuff up. Also, the key to a great Lego room is trying to keep it as uncluttered as possible. Because I can take in about 10 minutes and turn this thing into a zero table area where I can play PlayStation VR, and I've, you know, got it to that point of perfection, but I haven't taken it to that step yet because I've been just building it all the time. Like, I get stuff sitting on the table and it's just like, well, I got to build this, and and then, you know, a piece sparks off another idea. So I haven't been video gaming as much as I wanted to. And I've been doing some yard work. As you may be able to see, I've been lightly attacked by a tree this last week, as well as mosquitoes. So, you know, that's fun, right? And that's why I still have the stubble, because if I were to try and, you know, shave now, it'd be a bloody massacre. Okay, so yeah, because like micro cities are addictive and so fun. And Brickanista was working on another edition to hers, and I was working on another edition of mine because I'd gotten like a couple of 16 by 16 base plates. And I just wanted to, you know, kind of just keep going with it. So I was working on this little deal. And this is a more modern section of the city. This is more of like the business financial district of the thing. You see, we got and I need some more gray tiles here, because you see I got the grills just kind of holding the spot temporarily, because I was using dark gray for the roads. But yeah, so I broke some other stuff down. I got some more of these trans clear 1x1s and a couple other different colors. So yeah, I worked on another one. And some of the designs in here are a little bit on the, well, one of the designs in here is a little bit on the odd side. I'm going to talk about that one in a second. But yeah, so you see more modernistic stuff with the curves, and this one can go at an off angle if you want, and yeah, just kind of off kilter there. And just a couple of different smaller things, you know, just to kind of, because there's an ebb and flow in a city, right? I mean, it can't be all just big stuff all the time, or else it's going to overwhelm you. So you need places where your eye can relax a little bit, and, you know, kind of like a real city, like let the sun shine in a little bit. That's not to say there's not a benefit to having everything like tall and huge and clumped in together. There's something to be said about that. But this one right here, I was especially pleased because it's like two super snot bricks stacked on top of each other. And yeah, I just threw some 1x4 trans blues on there, and that works there. This building over here, when the light catches it right, it looks really good. When the light doesn't catch it right, it kind of just looks like a monolith. But that's okay. This one here, I've always loved using the grates as you know, the facades of buildings, you know, especially when you're doing like skyscraper with curtain wall construction. But the centerpiece of this build is the yellow building, as you can see, and it's got a lot of different things going on, different angles, cantilevers, stuff built over, stuff looking a little bit precarious, especially the way that this little bit here on the top is centered to what would be a square building, but it's only half that profile. And then, yeah, the little plaza area down below. I'm a big fan of plazas. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why. But yeah, so like there's a kind of a underground component where you go in there to the main building, and then you go up to the main bit of the structure. And the yellow bit here, let me take this off so you can see what's going on in the smaller building. So that, you see, we just got that cut out place there, and then a little walkway going across here to connect the other bit to this tower, or you could go across the top, right? But yeah, so that's this was a fun little build. It didn't look anything like this 12 hours ago. After midnight, it underwent some editing and stuff, and things changed up. There was a big orange building that actually looked kind of cool, but it just didn't fit in with the rest of everything else. It didn't harmonize so much. So what does it look like next to the other one? Well, we'll see. Because there's like one unified road, and then everything else is kind of cattywampus. But yeah. And then when you look at this from the front, the buildings in front are purposely lower so that you can get a better view of everything that's behind there. But you still want to get the feel of a compact or a densely packed yet well attenuated city. Yeah, so these are so fun. If I get another 16x16 base plate, I just might keep going with this, or if I get some more 1x1 transparent bricks. So yeah, great idea with the snot stacking. Yeah, it's just like those super snot bricks are just like the coolest things. And you start playing around with them and you start figuring out like little different things to do because like you got studs going everywhere, right? And yeah, so I mean that just takes that possibility of the brick that much further. So yeah, thanks, Corey. So yeah, all right, next. First we're gonna hydrate because brother needs some caffeine. That's the stuff. We are gonna talk about one set. And it's especially good because I definitely wanted to make sure Brickanista was here when I talk about this, because this is the new Monkey Kid set. And I think I'd mentioned it to her before. This is Pigsy's noodle tank thingy here. And as it rolls along, it's got those, got that little fork that jumps up there. And that's powered by the same mechanism that powered the, like the snow removal thing that they came out with a couple years back. But yeah, so that rotates there. You got pretty much a full range of movement in the arms. And yes, that is a little pig cannon that can shoot studs there. It also has a little carrot and fish attachment. Really cool over on this side. Oh, that thing kind of threw me off. It has a refrigerator that opens up. And inside the refrigerator are noodles. And you can shoot the noodle discs right here out. And then pot lid for a shield. Like, this thing is so cool. Like, I got it to keep the bowl intact and use it as signage, like on that red building, just like make a huge display out there. But this thing is so freaking charming that I'm having a real tough time breaking it down. And having more treads on hand is not a bad thing because I'm trying to make a GBC deal. But yeah, look at that. Like the menu board, the chopsticks in the back. You got a turkey hanging off the side. Pigsy, he could prepare anything right there, really. He could. And it's a good thing that I didn't tip that any further because the dumpling that is in the pot and the egg that is in the pan aren't attached. So they've tumbled on me before. They'll tumble for me. But so the adversaries in this set to Pigsy are like panda things. So you have an evil panda robot, which, I mean, regular robot head here, right? Turn it around on a turntable. Evil panda robot. And yeah, that is a turntable. And this is like, that's why this thing is like tailor-made for Brickanista. She loves the turntables. This is her thing. You need to get this set. You need to get this set. But that's just one. That's just one. Oh, wait, there's more. A panda drone, right? Evil panda robot drone. How cool is that? And then this has got a play function, which is a little bit clunky, honestly. But you press down the voodoo ball, and it releases a box, which presumably would be some kind of bomb, or could just be like tofu or Amazon. You don't know what's coming in the mail, especially not when you're dealing with evil robots, evil panda robots. But wait, there's more. So you got two little side characters in here for the evil folks. And this guy, he's controlling the drone. His name is like Pan, Mr. Pan, Evil Pan, Dr. Pan. I don't know, something like that. But there's Pan in there. Why do I have this on my face when I should? No, that's even worse. Oh, that's not really good. Oh, the lighting today. Let's see what it looks like with it off. All right. There we go. That's adjusting. But yeah, look at this cat. He's got a tie with panda action there on the front. His glasses and the faces are awesome. And he does have a double-sided face with like one of my all-time favorite expressions. This is like that's surprise, joy. It's all right there. And the back of the outfit's pretty cool. But wait, there's more. And this is the last figure in the set, but this figure is, there we go. It's a cat with a panda costume, right? And the zipper's coming down in the back, so you got a little bit exposed there. And I believe that this character is the same one that came with the convenience, whichever set had the convenience store the first time it came around, like the Panda convenience store. I think this is like the clerk in there, because I believe the striping in the shirt that it shows underneath is the same as that. But also a second face side, right? So yeah, this is Monkey King, or yeah, Monkey Kid showing the panda love. So this is a set to get. It's really good. $60. And I had been saving up my VIP points, so I was able to get like the $50 off online thing, and yeah, so it was like a $10 set for me. I'm so happy. I'm so overjoyed. Like I'm super happy about that. Hey, Robin, what's going on? Yeah, that minifig is awesome, isn't it? It's so cool. Why don't you have these? Because you haven't gone to the Lego store yet today, but you got one, what, 12 minutes away? You'll get there. You'll get there. Honestly, it's like one of the most affordable and jam-packed Monkey Kid sets. Like I got the Sandy Speedboat at the same price point. Not nearly as stunning as this. I got the Monkey Kid mech, which, you know, should be amazing and just out of sight, right? Still not as cool as that. Still not as cool as that. Demon Bull King. Okay, Demon Bull King was pretty boss. Still not as cool as that. Like that. You got to get that. Everybody needs to run out and get that. Tell the folks. Run to your windows and shout to your neighbors. Inform them. Okay, I'm going too far. So yeah, now we're going to get into the meat of the discussion. Lighting permitted and internet permitting. About like difficulty to use Lego bits and how to try and use them. Or some ways that I figured out to get around my problems that might be able to help you with yours. And we're going to talk about dots bracelets and things of that nature. But first, we're going to wade into the topic. Hooded One, what's going on? And we're going to wade into the topic with something that, I mean, it has studs and it's usable, and you can set it up in places. And unfortunately, they don't make it anymore because these things are brilliant. This is the Lego Power Functions Light. Yeah, and this one, I got like 20 or so from Lego Education before they ran out of them. And I've been slowly trying to light the whole city. I got maybe 3 more buildings that I got to get rigged. But the difficult part is the light itself. How do you attach this to something? Because that's about a stud size. But, I mean, you put a stud in, you got to have that light showing through. And there are ways that you can put this in things. And, you can put it in a Technic pin hole for sure. But I found a couple ways that really make this easy to use. And let's start with Mixel joint technique. All right. So you got standard Mixel joint like this, right? Okay. And you've also seen, I'm sure, because we're all A-foles here, right? I'm sure you've seen this. Okay. This is another toe ball joint bit. But it has the pinhole in the center. To get a directional light, all you have to do, set that through there. It goes perfect. It protrudes just enough to where it's not like a spotlight, like a downlight, and it casts a bit wider of a beam. So let me plug it up here and see what we got. And yeah, you can set this anywhere in your city. So yeah, and multi-directional. Wherever you want it. This is what I got set up over at the fountain. This is the way I have most of the lights set up in the buildings, because this is the best way to attach it. It really is. And when you can get it with just that piece with a hole in it, you don't need anything else, which is great. Say you don't have that. Let's say you don't have that. Well, you don't, or maybe you don't. Here's another piece I like to keep on hand just for that. And again, thanks to the Monkey Kid, I've got like 20 of these in yellow right now. But again, you can, and this one actually, you can go either way because the studs aren't going to be in your way if you want to set it through in a different angle. Aubrey, what's going on? Okay. But yeah, so you can go through on either direction, and then also with the Mixel joint, turn that into a directional light. You do want to try and use some of those inverted 1x2 slopes, which I'll show you those in a second. So yeah, that's just a good way that you can do lighting with the old power function stuff. Now the power up, you could probably use in the same fashion. However, you're going to be limited to how many you can get on a battery box. And at $50 a battery box and $10 a light, that's $70 to get 4 lights for your thing. On the plus side, you can control it through Bluetooth if you wanted to. But there's that. So fooling around, trying to, as I was grabbing these parts out of the little respective bins, and this is the piece I was talking here, the inverted slope, because that locks it in a little bit better, so it doesn't kind of travel around and break off on you when you try and move the direction. But I got this set up as 8 because in my mind I was thinking, hey, I'll pull this out, right, and run that through the 8 things, and you get them going in all directions. That'll be fun. But this is a pin connection, whereas the ends here are bars, so you can set them through there, but they're going to be loose. So I'm going to figure out something with this for a different point in time. But if you're not familiar with that piece, that's a fiber optic light. It's an older bit that came out a while ago, and that is actually another difficult piece to use. But you can set it up to a motor and have it spin and have the fiber optic light actually kind of flash inside there. Otherwise, you could just like manually tune it 1 to 1 to 1 to just, have a light coming out at a different spot. So there are 8 different places in there, 8 fiber optic bar cord bits, and they do pick up the light pretty well, but it doesn't show up so well on camera all the time. So I'm not even going to go through trying to hook that up and show you this. Yeah, power functions are great. They're just kind of difficult to come by now because Lego kind of let that peter out, but they were around for a while. So I mean, they're out there. If you want to get the lights, you're probably going to be paying like on Bricklink or $10-ish dollars or so. And then the old battery box, what were these? $6.99, $5.99, something like that. For the AA's, these are really good. And we're just talking about like in-home use. We're not talking about like at conventions because like that's a lot of batteries, folks. That's a lot of batteries. Although I gotta say, the setup I have underneath the city here is using probably 8 lights right now, all connected to one battery box, and I can get probably 24 hours out of that set of batteries. But that's like not constant use. That's just like turn it on when I'm trying to arrange things down below and getting that all set up, or just turning everything on and seeing how it looks. But here's the old power functions motor, and this is what you would I got this reversed right now. I don't know why I did. I'm a fool. But yeah, so that's what you would use to turn the thing. And that's what I used to turn the thing. Hey, Fabby Fan, what's going on? Yeah, all right. So now, Blue Bricks in Germany still makes parts for the lighting system. Good to know. Good to know, because like I am fully invested in that. Because like each one of my buildings, and I'm sure you heard me say this before, each one of my buildings, because they're modular and they can move around and they shift positions in the city, like depending on, what looks best, what feels best for the flow of the city. But the lighting system for that building has to be self-contained. So it's got to be on the battery box, and, I can't be connecting wires and doing stuff between buildings because you don't know where things are going to line up. And some buildings are larger than others, and it's just it becomes a big Megillah. So trying to keep it all sane, all together there. So yeah. And then the main thing we're talking about today, because this was suggested last night, and I was like, yeah, definitely. We're talking about good ways to use difficult to use pieces. So that's why we did kind of the power functions lead in there. I'm just kind of winging this stuff, yo. There's no plan. And I do want to give a shout out real quick to Brick Literacy and Femme from the Block, Yano, for because I tuned into the recap and I won. I won something, and I didn't just win something. Folks, we got a Lego goat up in this mug. I was gonna name it Murgatroyd, but I think I'm gonna name it Ali now. Yeah. So thank you so much, Remy. Thank you so much, Yano. And they also sent some Doc stuff, which is appropriate for this week, right? Sorry for the unattractive reach to the stuff behind. So we got a bag of Series 1 and bag of Series 2. Strike that, reverse it. And yeah, I've gotten quite a few of these, so I have bins all set for every one of these colors to go right into, because yeah, so cool. And then also the which one is this? Lovebirds. I've gotten quite a few of these thanks to Michael's and the thing. But the reason why that one is so great is because it comes with the dark turquoise band, yo. Yeah. So these things are boss beyond belief. They really are. And you know, these things are not easily or readily usable in builds. I mean, for the video bracelet, you got a whole lot more utility there than some of the video pieces, which we're going to talk about here. But these, you see, you got the studs, and then you also have the holes on the end here. And of course, as a bracelet will do, it'll attach to itself. Get your circle there. Yeah. So what if you want to take it beyond just this simple form here? Well, you can do some amazing stuff. But we're going to set that aside for now, and we're going to go talk about the video bands, because these things are like 10 times worse. There's no stud attachment to it. All you have are these holes here on the end. Now, busting out my rounds so I can show you a thing or two here, just example wise. Okay, so the size of this hole is a 2x2 brick, because that's essentially the way it attaches, right? And that's going to leave you pretty loose. Now, like, it's a handle. It's a handle for a video box. What else can you do with a handle for a video box? Well, if you're pressed and you're trying to figure out a way to make a spring, loop it back on itself, right? You got a serious amount of bounce there, and not just in this axis, but also this axis, right? So if you can lock that in, that's going to help out pretty much any springing mechanism that you need to make, and you need to make large. So if you don't have like what are they, like the shock absorbers, right? This will do the trick for you, and you get multiple together. You can, of course, they're going to start bowing up, and you can get like a stronger thing. Another way that you can attach that, besides this, and if you want to keep it in place and keep it from sliding around on you, because it's going to want to slide around on you, right? Also, this is 2 studs wide. We can illustrate that. Yeah, we can illustrate that with this. Right. This deal here, right behind it. You see, we're lined up just right. So we're 2 studs wide. So you can thread this through a build like that. And if you leave like a plate of distance, it's gonna make it pretty tight. But if you leave like a full tile's worth of distance, like not just like the gap between the studs and what's up above it, but like a good set distance, you'll be able to move this through that area. So if you wanted to set up a build where kind of something went back and forth, like seesaw, well, not a seesaw, but like in kind of a seesaw thing where it just kind of goes back and forth like that, you could easily set up a thing where that would slide through. But what I really want to talk about with this, and what I discovered just out of the blue, if you just set that on a 1x2 brick, it's not stressed really, and because it's rubber, it bends a little bit, but that makes that connection real tight. So like you can do all kinds of stuff with it at that point. So that is a good thing you can do with these Vidiyo bracelets. See, look at that. It just holds it. And so you can cap that with something, you know, say something like that. And, you know, it's going to stay there. It's going to stay like that. No, you know, no matter how much, well, I mean, you're probably going to want to reinforce it better than that, but I mean, yeah, that's a good thing for the Vidiyo bracelet. And we just threw that out there first because that's the easier one to tackle. There's not so much extra building and stuff going on with that. But let me get my Technic bin. And I should have a lift arm or Technic brick available, which we'll need for that. I got a lime one there. And we also have a couple blue Technic beams, or I only really call them a lift arm if they got the crook in it. Otherwise, I call it a beam. Don't know why I call it a beam. I just do. Monica, what's going on? Yeah, so yeah, we're talking about how to use the weird stuff. Excuse me. Sorry. I went down the wrong tube, because if there's one thing I know, it's weird stuff. And if there's one thing I excel at, it's the weirdness. So how do we do this with the bracelets? Like, what's a good way to attach these? Well, there are a couple really good ways. Like if you wanted to make a cylinder, like say Brickanista did the other night for City, for the BB and Tower. And I suggested this to her in the chat. And you can do it. And because these are just a little bit wider than 2 studs, you have to put an allowance in there. So different ways you can do it, but one of the easier ways, makes it really utilitarian. Set this up, and we're not going to go every other stud. We're going to go every 3rd stud. Right there on the lift arm. Okay. Then set that right through there. Bushing on top, or whatever other element you want to use to kind of lock it down. And that bushing is going to, when you get it tight, it's going to keep that from wiggling around a little bit. Just repeat that as needed. And this, granted, what this does do is it does keep that open area to one side. But I'll show you another technique here in a minute that'll also work for you. And I will show you also where we're going to take a look at what I did on the King, which, I mean, some of you may have seen before, but that is a different way to use these, and it's pretty much the only way I figured to get these bracelets right next to each other. So we're going to take a look at that as well. Let's see. Yeah, how to use the weird stuff. Could you try building a Lego cup that doesn't spill or drip? Yes, I can. And actually, I don't really need to. So one thing I do is I build things that there aren't already. but I probably won't build this because there is one already. This does not leak or drip. Granted, you're not going to get your daily recommended dose of anything out of here, but it's already done. Lego's already knocked that out for me. But if you want to make a Lego cup, there are third parties out there who have studded cups. That's probably your best way to go. But yeah, if you want to make a cup that doesn't leak or drip, you're going to want to glue it together, and we don't glue here. We don't glue around these parts. That there's hearsay. We don't do that. All right. So yeah, and that's a way to get all these bracelets together, all like that. But then you have the issue of they're all loosey goosey, right? Well, very easy way to solve that. Get yourself some 1x plates of the longer variety, preferably 1x6 or longer, and like if you got 1x12s, 1x10s, that's good stuff. All right, grab some of these out of here because I'm going to need these to show you the other technique as well. There we go. Okay. Keep those all right on hand. All right. So I got this right, and it's being a little bit of a pain because it's wobbly and unstable. Well, easy fix. Don't worry about it, folks. Just go stud to stud, cross the bracelets, leaving a gap of 1 stud in between. If I can make sure that these are lined up properly, that's the first thing. Like the first one is always toughest. We'll go to a second one too, just to lock in that third bracelet, and there we go. So you run your studs down the front, and because you've left that 1 stud gap in between there, it's all going to line up in system. So that's a good way to get a nice styrated, is that a word? I don't know. A nice segmented, we'll go with segmented because I think that's closer to where I was trying to go with that facade there. And you can build in the 360 when you extrapolate this. Yeah, I said extrapolate, right? Wow. So yeah, you got that. And then because this is anchored here in the back, I mean, you could do a taller structure because of that anchor, right? And you can build on top of that and add to it and just make that as large as you possibly want, or for as many bracelets as you have on hand. But let's say you want studs all around. Striated. Yeah. I don't know. I'm drinking caffeine today for my hydration, so things are going to get weird. I mean, I'm always drinking caffeine, but usually I have a water chaser or something if I need to cleanse the palate. Okay. I'm getting a couple of these black ones because I got a ton of the black ones together. I really did. Because I think these were the ones that came with the cosmic bits, with like the little unicorns with the sparkly hair and the turquoise and the whatnot. And yeah, so cool. So yeah, if you want studs all the way around, well, you just take and you slightly modify that technique I just did. I'm going to throw a couple of these plates on here. And you can always with these things, of course, adjust the size of your circle. You can take it in tight, but let's see. Let's see what happens when we take it in a little bit tighter. I know phrasing. I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah, so you can get a cylinder about that size. Now that's because the reason I didn't do that earlier, and I'll show you here, you see it looks a little bit oblong, and the reason for that is because this extra piece is putting a lot of stress and pushing here. So you kind of have to brace it. So I'll just extend that back out. Yeah, 1x8 tiles for a finish. Whatever you got on hand. I don't have 1x8 tiles. But I'm just using these plates mostly just to illustrate the way to do it. I mean, I'm definitely not going to make any kind of finished mock from this because I've already been down that road. I have other roads to travel at this time, but I've got bracelets when I need them. All right, so I'm going to scoot this back a little bit more this way. All right, so what you can do if you want to get the 360, and this is not the easiest thing to figure out how to line up. I do apologize for that. All right, so what you can do is just stagger your bracelets, right? So if you wanted to do a 360, you want to do at least multiples of 4, so you can extend things down and go past that. But by alternating which side this is on, you're always going to have studs out someplace. So yeah, you would definitely need the longer plates, and for that, you could even do like a 2x8 or longer than that if you wanted to. And it's gonna make the structure a little bit more blocky if you're not using the 1x's. But yeah, so that's kind of a thing. And actually, when Brickanista was was figuring out the method. I was brainstorming. I was like, well, because you could do that, you could turn this around, and oh my god, I can make the lipstick building finally. So yeah, there's a building in New York called the Lipstick Building. I think it's over on like 2nd Avenue, but it's kind of oval and it looks like a tube of lipstick, which is where it got its name. But it's a Philip Johnson design, postmodernist. Dude is awesome. And it's a glorious building. And then now I can make it, because I was like, how am I going to get the curve on that if I want? Because anytime I look at a building, I'm thinking how to make it in Lego. And hopefully someday I'll have enough pieces together to start doing like a Gaudi. Because it would be tough. It'd be piece intensive to try and get all those curves right, but I still want to try. But you know, that's now I can make the Philip Johnson lipstick building, and my heart soars just a little bit because of that. So check up here. 1x8 tiles for finish. 1x2 trans blue, make for good windows for sure. And what you could also do for this too, if you were doing that, you could put your plates on the inside, your translucent plates, and then you could put a tile over top of that. And if the light is hitting it just right, it's going to show through those windows, and it's going to look like they're kind of a little bit hidden, you know, in the turns of the thing. So I mean, that's a nice. Just, you know, all these things pop into your mind when you start thinking of, you know, the possibilities that the brick and the bracelets and the whole thing holds, right? So yeah, that was an hour. Any questions? And of course, you can extend these for as many bracelets as you have. So let's see. I wear a 7 5/8 hat. I got kind of a big head. I believe when I figured it out, oh, that's not good. It was 3 bracelets at full extension to get around my skull. So we'll find out here. No, too small. Too small. I think it must be 4. God, it looks like I have a circlet. I demand an audience with the prince. Let's try. Let's see here. Because I mean, I've seen people do all kinds of amazing clothing things with this. You could do. No. That's no. There we go. There's a necklace. But like you could do all kinds of clothing things. You could do vests. I've seen people make vests. I've seen people make suspenders. I've seen people make, you know, of course, bracelets, armlets, belts, the whole 9. Like these are flexible and versatile, and you can do anything. And thank you, Dots, for like just expanding the possibility. Because most everything in Lego is a straight line or like a hard angle, whereas this, your imagination is the limit. So there's that. Yeah, skirt made with cardboard inserts. Yeah, and then was it Brick-On last year? There was a person made a dress out of minifig bags. I think it was. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to use packaging too, that's found object art. That's been around for a minute. Speaking of found object art, when I was in a painting class, there was a serious there. I mean, when you go to college, there's seriously eclectic people around, right? But if you're in a painting class, you're there to paint. Well, there was this found object dude that got in the painting class, and he was putting like dirty plates on a wall and like little G.I. Joe men, like not even G.I. Joes, like the little green army dudes with the bases and stuff, and like stapling them to like a backdrop, calling that good and calling that as art and calling that painting. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm not gonna place my judgment on it because I'm sure you know how I feel, especially if I've mentioned it. So I just want that to be out there floating around in the world and, you know, infesting your minds. It's Allie Perry. Allie Perry made that for Bricks Cascade. Okay, I didn't go to Bricks Cascade, but I did see it when it was at BrickCon. So yeah, we talked about the city, talked about the goat, talked about the video stuff. We didn't talk about video boxes. Now that this is a class beyond compare. Trying to use these things. Like the other ends, you know, they got the studs. And if you wanted to use these little bits, I mean, you could think of a million things for these. I'm sure you could, because you got stud, you got anti-stud, and you got so much versatility with this. Those little bits up top, bar holes, right? So there is no limit to what you can do with it. There is a limit, however, on what you can do with this. Sorry, ears freaking out a little bit today. Yeah. So what you have here initially when you get this from Vidiyo, I'll pop this back out. Come on now. Essentially, what you're going to want to do when you get these is make sure these little white inserts go in here, because they're not really good for much else. I mean, you can do some things with them, but not a lot. And I can't even figure out, because I trim my nails, I can't even figure out a good way to get this back out of here. So that is in there. And what that essentially is, because essentially that's what it is. What that is a turntable, right? So that goes on there. You get full range of motion, and the gap in there is enough to anchor the bracelet, but leave it to where it is mobile. So that's your basic Vidiyo setup, right? That's how those come. So that being said, because that has that turntable feature, and that turntable action will work on any round plate or round brick that has that snap bit in the center, we can go into the round action here. And I'm just going to bring out a couple candidates for this. Various sizes. And I don't have a round brick, but there are some that are in the 4x4 that you can easily do this with. Okay. Oh, actually, shoot. Haha! Figured out something else. Oh, we're zooming today, folks. Okay. So we got this side, right? And I mean, you take these, and they've got that bit there. Snap that on there. Okay. Which, I mean, is an easy step to make from the previous piece that's we used on this side. But you can go larger. You can go the 6x, right? So you're getting more surface area that you can work with this thing. And now you can actually kind of inverse stud it down, which, I mean, now we got like a TV monitor screen, jail cell, like anything you wanted to do at that point. Now, you might say, what do we do about that gap that's in the center? Well, I got that covered for you. Let's see. Happy birthday, Joel Marbella. Is it your birthday, y'all? Happy birthday if it's so. Cardboard inserts word. Allie Perry. Happy birthday, Joel. All right, I'm caught up. Happy birthday, Joel. So what you can do, right, is you got that. Of course. Welcome to Monday. You can take the plate that is just a ring. I'll show you here. If I don't drop it again, like that there, and set that on the bottom. That'll allow access still to that bit. You can take that, stick it on there, and you're flush, and you still have the turntable possibilities. So there are so many ways now that you can connect this because of that, but that's pretty much where you want to do your jumping off at. And then you can, let me grab Axel here. Take an axle all the way across. I mean, you could do that anyway, but you still can with that. So, I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this. You just got to kind of take the time and figure out how it'll work best for you. And I still haven't figured out how it'll work best for me, so I will take the time and figure that out. But that's a way that these can attach. And then, of course, to lock it in, once you get it somewhere, we're just grabbing whatever parts we have at hand that'll show this. So let's take a look at where that's going to line up. If it's going to be on a stud or between studs. It looks like it's going to overhang a little bit because, I mean, it's meant to kind of snap on in a non-traditional manner to the little bits that I have that are still in use on Ollie. So let's take a look here. Basket under a balloon, for sure, Robin. I mean, yeah, so there we go. You can see just about how much off that is from a stud when you get that extruded part there. Extended, extruded, yeah. So yeah, balloons. Let's see. So yeah, it would make a pretty boss gondola underneath there for sure. My only concern would be keeping this upright. But I mean, if you're hanging this and then this is drooping down below, oh, you're golden. You're solid. For sure. Yeah, that's a great idea for it. Yeah, I mean, and one could make glasses if one so desired. Yeah, I think a transparent one would be a bit terrifying, but I will say I went on, what is it, the Skywalk at the building formerly known as Sears Tower, Willis Tower. And it's just like on the 103rd, 106th floor, something like that. They have that little bit that comes out. And yeah, so it's maybe 3 feet that you can walk out and just like look straight down because it's like the super thick piece of glass. But yeah, that's a Skywalk, and that was terrifying. But now because I fooled around and joked about it, I got to see what this looks like here. If you want to do some kind of like steampunk goggles, there you go. And then how would you connect it in the center? Well, you could do one of those bendy bits that I don't really have on hand, I don't think. It's kind of it's a bar, but it's a flexible bar. It's a little bit thicker. I've got it over here in the boxing arena. Let me grab it real quicker. Because I know I've got shorter ones than this. I just don't know where I've got them. So yeah, this part. Okay. And that's got the flexibility there. And they have these, I believe, in half this size. So that would be the one you would be after. And that would also go through here. Okay. And then you could just clip something on the back of that to secure it a little bit. Or you could take something like that. Just set that bar through there because that's got the axle going through the center. And it locks it in on the inside pretty well. See how that'll work on the other side. I mean, it's going to make a pretty big gap, to be sure. But it should work. Yeah. So, there we go. Yeah. That's kind of the thing. Oh, that's cool. That looks like that dude from Masters of the Universe. What's his name? I can't remember. Stratos? Is it Stratos? Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, there's another fun little thing you can do with that. And really, that's the only way you can attach these. As you can see, no studs on the front. And on the back, nothing there. So you really have to operate through that. But there are ways to hide it. And it just might take a little time when you're doing a build. Huh. So what other large and weird pieces do I have? Oh, yeah. St. Louis Arch. Oh, I really want to go there. Really want to go there. And I got stuff like it. Oh. Now, in the spirit of keeping things weird, because that's what we do, we're going to go into the weird bin, which are bits that are mostly usable, but little oddities and things like that. So certainly more utilitarian than the stuff we just looked at, but still strange to use. We have this, which is, was this McDonald's set? I think it was a McDonald's set. So this was like a exports type thing. And you got that stud crosshatch on that side, and then you have the plate connection. This thing is dirty; it needs to be cleaned up. But you got that, yeah. And I got it through Bricklink like this, and I was just lazy as all get out. But yeah, so if you don't mind the arrow graphic on there, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you could do with this. You can make a little hang glider. You can make kinds of stuff. So that's one strange little piece that we have in here. Another one is this old foot-looking bit, which is pretty good structurally. And if you wanted to use this as a bit of greeble, it's classic. Classic. Curved 1x4 round pieces can be easily constructed around the trans boxes. Quarter round piece. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. This is another strange piece. This is like a Ninjago launcher. See the anti-stud there on the bottom. We got 2 studs here. We have a Technic pin. We have a place here because there's really like a handle back here, and you press it down and it would launch something out of here, which kind of corkscrews a little bit down into here so that when you launch it, it spins. So spinjitzu, because that's their thing. But that's another little fun, strange piece. Do I have the pieces handy? Maybe. Yeah, those ones I got, and that's why I like look at all the cheap weird stuff that's in Bricklink, because I got those for like pennies, a couple pennies here, a couple pennies there. All right, so let's take a look at the angle that we have for the curvature here on this box. Yeah, you're right, dude. You are so right. Ha! Thanks, man. Yes, so thank you, Hooded One. Yeah, the angle on this, the curvature on that, matches the curvature on that 3x3. So there's definitely a way to brace it in. And I'm thinking maybe inverse arches would work as well. See, we're not just looking at things because I know what I'm talking about. We're looking at things so we can find out like new stuff, because I mostly don't know what I'm talking about. I just kind of fudge it. Now, if I don't draw too much attention to myself, people assume everything is gone. So let's see. Got this inverted arch here. Oh, yes. Look at that. Oh, my God. Oh, happy day. Happy day. That is it. That is perfect. That is perfect. So that gives you so much more. Oh, you can brace those in. Oh, Hooded One. Straight up genius dog. Oh, the Bone Demon. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be getting that set. I'd love to get it for the parts, but we'll see. $120. That's a lot. I mean, $80 for Seinfeld that's coming up. That's going to be a big part expenditure, or part expenditure, cost expenditure, and. What else is there? I still want to get a couple other things. I want to get a certain thing for a certain somebody who has an anniversary coming up soon. So, and yeah, we're all just really fudging it. But yeah, so wow, that is so cool. That is so great. So yeah, that just adds so much more to that. And these things I just keep sitting around in a drawer, to kind of doodle with, trying to figure out, a good way to connect it. Or if I don't, it just kind of sits there. So that is awesome. That is so great. So yeah, let's see, going back into this box now. Here are some other really weird bits. This one is only 2-stud attachment, but I believe this is for rubber bands or something of that nature for a Technic build. I believe. But again, they were cheap. I picked them up in the store. Yeah, post some images, Hood One. I'm definitely going to check that out. Here's another one, and this is Super Snot. This is the original Super Snot. This is Snot all directions, all day, every day. This is the old game die that you could get with the the little Lego board games that they made. And there are some issues here. You're going to have to build out a little bit if you want it flush, because it does have that bevel to it. But once you build above that surface, Scarface, the world is yours. So yeah, I got a couple of these on hand. The first one I bought because I wanted to make a die, because like we have terrible time making decisions, like especially like where we're gonna eat, we're gonna do this. But if you roll a die, like it's all said and done. And then if somebody says no, I don't want that, then their true feelings will come out. It won't be not, I don't know, what do you want for dinner? It'll be like, this is what I really wanted deep down inside, but I was too afraid to say until the decision came for something else. Sorry, going down rabbit holes. And of course, you got your old school treads here, which are a single rubber piece. You put some tires on the inside of that, something like this, or rims rather, without the tires. And that's how those are used. Got these huge fan pieces, these came with the old, couple of years old police set, because I think they were like part of a hover thing, and there were propellers attached. But these are huge pulley wheels, right? Like, look at that, the way that's set up. I mean, you could use it as a wheel, sure, but you could also use this as a piece of a mechanism. Let's see. We got these, which for BrickCon last year, they sent me like too many of these. Like, I don't know how I'm going to use these effectively. But this was one thing I was thinking about when we were doing the mock improv for using as the Tasmanian tornado that kind of goes around. But let's see, you got four pin connection there on the back. You can go center. You can go in threes around there. Yeah, you got those two. Yeah, Monica. It's tough, but like you can make a decent little thing if you stack them. It kind of looks like a weird, almost Capitol Records-esque building when you get enough of them on top of each other. Use them for your light bulb. Yes, I remember that. I think I used those as well, one for the base of my Citizen Kane snow globe. But here's one Monica and I are familiar with, because we challenged ourselves with a little seed part challenge for these nets. Because you've only got that axle connection there. And I mean, things will go through this. Let me grab the available bricks on hand, which we're using to demonstrate today, because they're here, and I ain't got to fish for them too much. All right, so you got your 2x2s right through there. It's a little bit loose, but it fits through perfectly. So if you wanted to use these as, say, an eyeball, or the backing, like bulging out eyeballs, boom, there you go. So if you want to make large Marge, this is where you start. Also in here, I have these little, I think they call them Zamford Spheres. They're Lego balls, but they're not like your soccer ball or your basketball, which are completely round or on all sides. There are rather flat spots. So on this side, it's got the dimple, and then this side, it has that pinhole. And that makes it so that if you put it in a GBC thing, they can get hung up a little bit. Speaking from experience here. Spiral staircases. I haven't really thought of anything good to use these for outside of being actual spiral staircases. But there's food for thought. If you can come up with something cool for that, I will definitely check it out, because I have these sitting around and they're just hanging. They're just hanging with no particular place to go. Let's see. Put those in here. There, and of course, I mean, these are extremely versatile pieces. You can use these for so much. You have your old school, like smaller engine bits there. And as you can see, looking down the barrel, we have an axle hole. And that runs a little bit far in there. So it goes back about to where that cone shape ends, and it goes to the cylinder. So it's a pretty good connection, and it's strong, and you can go through for either direction. If you set it up like this, like you got a mech leg, right? So you've got so much you can do there. And here is an early super snot piece from Lego. This is just an old school Mtron little spaceship bit, but these were popular on spaceships when I was a kid, right? So yeah, you got studs going in 3 directions there on the front, plus studs going to the top and anti-stud below. And then there's a bit of a plate thing there, so you can lock this in and use just that narrow bit alone if you want. Oh, you got a lavender staircase? I need that. I need that lavender staircase. But yeah, so this is an old school one, and I mean, if you all you have to do is turn it up like this, throw some extra pieces on it, you've started a mech, because this is just cool like that. Yeah, and you can take your figure and slot them in like that, and throw up a little like cage or something for them to hold on to, and yeah, you're well on your way to a mech. This piece is an old school boat piece, you know, not for like say your pirate ships, but for your more modern watercraft. Generally, these go on top of the cabin. You throw lights on them, something like that. But check this out. It's got a bar hole that goes all the way through, hollow studs on the left and right there. And the way this connects at the bottom is like it's open the back. So this can kind of slide around a little bit for you. So if you need to set something off a little bit on a 2-stud connection, this will be perfect because you can slide that and just make that connect as you need it, where you need it to. So that's got like some good action going on there. Yeah. And then of course you got this is where I keep all my engine bits, right? Which like these you can do the NPU thing and use these in so many different varieties and ways, and it doesn't have to be an engine. And then you got the blower there as well, which, I mean, it's got a 4-stud connection, and it can be used in a variety of manners as well. Now, something not quite as versatile, but versatile in its own right, for its own reasons, you have this exhaust thing here, right? And you have a bar on each side of the main cylinder that you can snap anything onto, as well as a Technic pin. Now this pin, you'll see it's got these little fingers around the outside there, right? And that's so that when you put this into a, let me find one here. So that's when you put it into a Technic connection bit, it kind of seats itself just right. So it's got a bit of friction on there, and it's not just going to wobble and go in too far. That's making sure it stays just right. Here's another bit too. The old school engine housing. If you are a Space Police fan, you know this. If you're what was it? Atlantis fan. I actually believe that's where they came from and read for this. So yeah, some of those older school sets. You don't see these too much anymore, but you can fit a smaller propeller in the front of them and make a fan, something like that. But you can also, and again, going to the pieces at hand to illustrate the point, you can stack these and make it a long cylinder, and line up the those pin points, and you can make, you know, like a larger engine. You can make a water tower. You can just make like a barrel, believe it or not, if you just want to have that sitting on there. Yeah, so these are limited on connections, but pretty fun to use when you need just that right thing, and that's nothing else satisfies like that. All right, what else do I have in the weird bits? Oh, this is where I keep all my turntables too. So turntables, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with these and that clip part, and that's the acceptor for it. So you get these in plate height, okay, and that's just a super huge turntable. You can also get those a little bit taller, something like that doesn't snap in. These ones are the old school ones that are preformed like that. So you get that full brick thickness, and your turntable itself is 2 plates high. You also have these. As far as turntables go, we're just going through a history of turntables all of a sudden. You have these ones that have that slide bit in the center there, so you can get a plate with a tile on top of it, and they'll slide in there with good bit of security, right? And you got essentially 2 1x4 connections here on the bottom. But the difficult thing about this is you can't really have a plate in between there. You have to prop it up by a 2x2 in the center because of those little lips that attach there. And then this has got the same turntable height on the top. It's 2 plate high. Yeah. Just going through all this stuff, there's just so many sweet things in here. So yeah, turntables in black and white for the plate height turntable. We got a lot of airplane landing gear, things of that nature. This is also where I keep these, which are coming more and more handy every day. Now that is a friction-free pin, so it does spin once you get this locked in, but if it's recessed a little bit, it'll sit down there just nice. Or if you have it braced up against something else or locked in, it'll do the trick. You have these going up, and you also have them coming down, and that's your standard basic old school propeller base right there. So it's essentially a tile with a pin coming off of it, and that again is friction free for helicopters and things like that. But you've also got that and this. Now that is a 1 brick height minus the studs, and yeah, so it's got a little bit extra on there that you can build off of and secure this down a little bit stronger if you have like a serious propeller thing going or something like that. Let's see. And then, of course, the standard, the classic, the old school, your friend and mine, your standard turntable. Now, the turntable is a piece unto itself. It really is. The reason, because it's 2 pieces, right? You have your turntable itself, and then you have I'm going to call this a modified tile because it's just like essentially a tile with some bits missing. Let me set this down here, and we're going to go a little bit more into that. Okay. So what can you do with these, right? Well, a lot of people end up using them for stained glass windows if you just have this side. And sometimes you get extra ones. But you can put these on the front of plate, or you can also use like if I had any spare trans clear plates or anything like that right now, I put them in front of there and you could see like all the way through. But you get a series of these together and you have a nice like stained glass window design. I've seen it done many times and it's to great effect. It's really easy to do that. So what can you do with the other part? Well, if you're a mech person, and I'm kind of a mech person, when you put that sitting out like that, it almost looks like a joint, right? In a rotating, it looks like a rotating joint, the cover of a rotating joint in a mech. So that's one place I've seen that used to great effect. And your imagination is the limit on that. You can pretty much use those any way you want. So there's more versatile than just being turntable. So yeah, it's fun going through these boxes, right? And here's something I use because I got these cheap. And if you're looking for cheap Lego and you want advice on that, this is the guy. So I love to go through door frames and window frames and stuff like that in bricklaying stores because you got these old school freestyle frames, which are huge, and you can get these pretty cheap. And if you're putting in a bricklink order now, I wouldn't recommend this. Picking these up for 2-3 cents each and getting just like 100 of them if you want to keep the shipping costs down on your bricklink order, because these are going to take up a lot of bulk really quickly. The same as if you're using like the 8x4 or 8x16 sports plates, which you can get for 10-15 cents each. However, when you get like 20 of them, your order immediately goes up in shipping cost, because, you know, trying to keep something about $4 or $5 for shipping, and then going for this will move it into priority mail flat rate box territory. So we'll be talking about 12 and up, 12, 15, but somewhere around there, and it pretty much caps. So if you can find one of those stores that offer free shipping over 50, this is a good one to go and get for that, and just like load up on big pieces if you can. Because these take up a lot of space, and they reduce the stress on your brick supply. And especially if you're using them structurally. Also, because they are just that frame, they're really light in weight. So if you need to fill out the interior of something and you want to keep it somewhat portable, that's the way to go. It works really well. I've used it to great effect for many years. Before the red building became the red building it is now, with like fully enclosed glass, I had those 2x4 ones, the 2x4x5, 2x4x5. That was the facade. It was just like a series of those just scattered all over. And now I have most of those in my train spotting mech. It's taking up a lot of space, making the thing thick and bulky, but not too heavy. So that's what's going on with those right now. So that's pretty much most of the stuff in here. And of course, if you tuned into Mock Improv, you saw that, because I use that for the Tasmanian Devils little tornado bit. But yeah, this is an old school drill, and it's got a pin right there. On the inside, however, which is awesome, it has gear teeth. So this can be set up to rotate. And there's so much possibility within that. So that's another fun one. And then this is one of my favorite pieces, but this is one of my most frustrating pieces as well, because these are beautiful and awesome, and I would love to do more mocks that would need them, but I got to keep sorry, I keep shaking the camera because I got that sitting on the table. I love to use them. I'd love to have a good mock to set this up. But every time I see these scream spaceship to me. So I always want to make a spaceship, and I just don't have the room to make all the spaceships. So this, I mean, it could be, you know, like something going on a rooftop. Could be a hot water heater. Could be a pontoon for a boat. It could be an exhaust for an engine. Could be a propane tank, you know, if you cap the ends. There's a lot you can do with this. There's so much, but it is 3 studs wide, which makes it a little bit unique. And they do make a slope that works for the bottom of that. Let me grab that out here real quick and show you. Because again, breaking down the Monkey Kid mech, I got a couple extra of these. There's one. There's 2. Okay, here we go. So we got this piece. It is a really chunky Lincoln log, yo. We got this, right? So we have a double inverse slope, which is 1x3. And you get a pair of them. That takes up that inverse area there. And you can, like I say, you can do a lot with that. But finding those in a color that matches your cylinder might be a little bit tough. Yeah, so I mean, there's so much you can do here. Like you can put a control panel on that and make it look like it's some kind of, you know, cryogenic sleeping chamber or something like that. There's, like I say, the sky is the limit. When your mind starts racing with these parts, like there's no good way to stop. Let's see, what other strange bits do I have here that aren't Duplo? That we could try and take a look at. Well, let's see. So it goes into the Bionicle drawer. Yeah, because we're just pretty much keeping this about weird parts today. So I want to see, like, if I can show you folks stuff you've never seen. And this bin right here has got a bit of history. So back in the day, this was a large panel. You know, it's for one of those Star Wars droid tank things. And I got this in a bulk lot, and of course there was only one of them. but I'm not going to be recreating that thing. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this or when I'm going to do something with it. But time and opportunity will present itself, eventually. But that's huge, right? Like, look at that. And it's perfectly beveled there. Yeah. And it's a corner piece. So you really need more than one to make it work right. Now this piece, I haven't constructed what you need to do to use this piece properly, because there is no stud connection, there is no Technic connection. Well, actually, I'll show you something here in a second. But what this is, there was an old theme, and it was the precursor for Bionicle, and it came in canisters like Bionicle did. It was called Robo Writers, and this is around the turn of the century. Yeah, I can say that this was turn of the century Lego stuff. So Robo Writers, right? And it said Technic on the thing, and they were trying to go like robotish with it. So what this did is like Robo Riders essentially were motorcycles that were robots as well. And they had a feature where they would launch discs, which were actually their tires, which I've gone into a low-key serious collection of now. And that's these numbers, right? And you have them a variety of colors: orange, yellow, dark turquoise, glow in the dark even for these, as well as like trans clear blue. But the way this would work is it would slot in to a Technic space that you would create with lift arms and such. And these tabs would keep that in there. And this would slide out, right? Because you'd set it up just right. So this would slide out, and then you could fling it back, and you would use these, oh God, here we go, to launch the tires. Something like that. Don't worry about it. I got a ton of those in here. But that's what this piece is. Now, you might see these when you get a bulk lot and be like, what the is that? Because like that is not Lego. I'm going to get rid of that. But trust me, be assured, this is Lego. And it even says so right inside here, which you're not going to see. I mean, but yeah, the Lego bit is right inside here. I was hoping I could get a shine and it would kind of show up a little bit, but no, not with this kind of definition. But yeah, so that is a very weird piece, and it is Lego. And generally, you will find these flattened out. So just keep your eyes out for that. If you want a fun, old school, brewed in play function, there you go. And I got a couple of those because they're like a penny each. I'm still trying to figure out, like, there's got to be a way to use it. There's got to be a way to use it somewhere and to be like, whoa, but I haven't found that yet. Another old school piece. And I mean, this has this attachment points, right? Your standard classic clip or click hinge. Okay. Where that attaches there. You got some studs with hollow point studs right there on top. But on the inverse, you don't have anywhere it can attach. No anti-studs or anything like that. But what you can do with this, if I find one handy, okay, we'll use a hand. We'll use a hand because essentially that's a clip. But in all this awesomeness that you see on here, it looks like you're going to be able to clip on any place, any point, right? No. There are 4 bars that you can actually clip onto. You got the 2 ones coming right there in the center that you can clip onto, and then the 2 smaller angled ones here at the top that you can also clip. But everything else on there, you can see, is just so thick that they had to hollow it out a little bit. But this has got some versatility. If you wanted to try and figure out like, kind of a gazebo or like a lattice work or, some kind of floral display that's, going trellis. That's what I was looking for. If you wanted to figure out some kind of low altitude trellis, get a series of these together and you can figure something out. It'll work out pretty good. It could be the exterior of a greenhouse. Maybe it's the brown that's making me think like that, or just trying to use these in some kind of manner. What these originally were, of course, cockpit covers, right? Was it Rock Raiders? I think it was Rock Raiders that these actually came in. My friend says, my minifig banana bread with chocolate chunks looks like a Lego corpse. Sounds delicious, though. Here's another couple bits. And, you know, Bionicle had some weird stuff. But Bionicle had a lot of connection points. And a lot of folks don't realize that because they immediately dismiss it when it doesn't like fit right into what they think of as the Lego system. So we're taking a look at a couple torsos here, and you see it's got the pin connection there on the front, 2 pin connections here on the top, as well as an axle connection coming straight down, 3 axle connections that go all the way through there, and enough room there for a lift arm or a beam, you know, whatever you want to fancy calling it, and that of course will go up and through a little bit to give you even more stability. And then you got the 2 coming off here at the angles for the pin connection. So this, like, it's not super snot, but it's like super technic because it'll go anywhere and everywhere. They're really great for making, you know, non-Bionicle mix, or I've seen people use these making bonsai trees. And I think that was my ultimate goal when I got that, is to try and do like a bonsai thing. And then I saw this other person did it, and then it kind of took the back burner for me. But here is another really fun Bionicle Torso bit. Now look at this, all the connection points on that. You got that pin there, axle here, this little part through the center. Okay, all the way through, and you can lock that in using axle or pins because you got 3 connection points down there. You have this T-bit here on top with connections, like, so good. And this has got a built-in limited bit of gear. So if you wanted to, and you were able to, again, just illustrating with the limited bits I have out here, without doing too much reaching into things. You got that bit right there, right? So you could just anchor that and figure out a system to where it could be just used as like a back and forth mechanism like that. So yeah, that's another really cool piece that's in here. What I also have here are some old school supports, and they're beautiful because they've got that lovely design right there on the side. Plus it has that slot going up so that you can use those for garages. If you wanted to use it for a garage door. I've got that with that, and I've also got those in dark gray. But what we also have here is another similar, but a little bit different, and that's just got those grooves going all the way around it. Now you get enough of these together, you're gonna have some lovely looking supports for any kind of building you wanted to do, especially if you want to do something more modern, where the entranceway is kind of lifted off the ground a little bit, and you have a little bit more open area under there, a la Oscar Niemeyer or Le Corbusier or something like that. I mean, I've got Hero Factory bits in here. I've got these large teeth claw bits, which really only have that axle connection. But when something needs this and it looks perfect, it's going to look perfect. So I kind of want to do a larger scale, like mean, fierce, toothy thing, and I want to use those for it because I think it'll work out all right. But here we go. Some more of these Robo-Riders discs. And now one of the things I want to say about that, because like I say, I've been getting into these lately and picking them up anywhere from pennies to generally about 20 cents a piece from a Bricklink store. And they're going to be in pretty good condition because what you see here has that print on the inside. And each one of these discs generally is supposed to be like a different robot. Okay. And they all have names like Driller and Dynamite and Blades and stuff like that. But you see, yeah, they're each a different character in there. And those prints are recessed, so they're not going to scrape off on anything unless you're being really, really harsh with your brick. The reverse side, you can see there, I mean, just turn that image away and all of a sudden you can use this for anything. You can also stack them and do all that. Here's a trans clear one. dude with a pair of chainsaws because, I mean, this is for kids. We got another one of the dudes with binoculars here. Now, one thing I will say about these Robo-Rider discs, when they were produced in a lot of different colors for each individual mold. So you will find these, you know, pretty much as a rainbow. And that's why Bricklink listings for them are a little bit tough. You can't actually really go out and search for these individually because it just kind of puts them into a blanket category. But what you can do is when you go to a Bricklink store, if you want to find these, you go to Technic Discs. That's where you're going to find these. And they're generally going to be towards the bottom of that list, and they're going to be affordable. They will be affordable. For at least as long as it takes me to scoop up the entire supply in the United States. Once I accomplish that evil goal, these are going to really jack up in price. So get them now while you can before I implement my evil plan. What else do I have in here? We've got, now this is a weird thing. This is a Technic ball joint, or I mean a Bionicle size ball joint there. With a pinhole and this little Scooby bit. And I'm sure this was some kind of launcher back in the day, you know, something like maybe like Highlight or something like that. Maybe not. But yeah, so getting into the depths of this Bionicle bin. Oh man, there's just so many weird but good things in here. Now, this is another Robo Writers piece. And now I can actually illustrate how this piece slots in. So you have this wonderful thing here, which is a super axle attacher, yo. So you've got so much that you can play around with on that. So you got 2 axles here, 2 axles here, 2 axles here. But you can also, I believe, put. No, you can't actually. I thought you could put, like, if you wanted to offset it a little bit, go on the center one, but you can't. But yeah, so you got that connecting there, but what's on this reverse side but that slot? And what does that slot take? Well, that slot, my friends, will take this. Okay, and that slides up in there. So you get 2 of them, you get them across from each other, and they're attached to a larger thing. I do have like one of those larger pieces that the Robo Riders thing's attached to, but it's downstairs on a robot right now. But yeah, so that slides out, and then you flip the thing and you launch the stuff, and you know you're shooting kids' eyes out. But yeah. So when you go to a Bricklink store, explore a little bit. You know, treat yourself to some weirdness that's in there, because the stuff that's weird. The stuff that's going to have a lot of strange connections, the stuff that's going to look marvelous in 1 or 2 places, they're going to be kind of like in the bottom of the barrel of someone's Bricklink store, and it's going to be the cheap stuff. So what you can do when you go to a Bricklink store is you can sort their entire store by price and just start at like the top and go down, or you can look for strange colors that people don't really like a lot and that you can get for cheap, like tan or lime or the lavender family, as well as, magenta's kind of gotten back up on a kick lately. I don't know why people are wanting so much magenta lately, but I mean, there could be a reason behind it. But yeah, so look for cheap bits, look for cheap colors, and those cheap colors are just like your more non-traditional things, but like with a little bit of imagination, you can make anything you want. You can make things you never even thought possible. So go in there and do that for sure. For real, yo. That's my ultimate plan, to wipe the slate, or wipe the slate clean. No, that's the wrong phrase. Wipe the planet clean of those. Wipe Bricklink clean of the Technic discs, because I need them. And that's the end of the mug of coffee. And we got, what, 15 minutes left? All right. So yeah, that was fortuitous, finding that little bit there in the Technic bin. So yeah, this is another little weird flipper launcher thingy. from the old school Bionicle stuff. And of course, you know, you have your ball joints for that. Here's something you're never going to see anywhere else now, because this is a one-off. A friend of mine named Rory back in the day found out I was in the Lego. He was in his teens getting out of Lego. This is when I worked in the foods. But he's like, dude, I was like super huge into Bionicle when I was a kid. My aunt was an artist, and she did a lot of bronze casting. So I asked her if I could cast something one day, and she said, yeah, sure. So she helped him cast this Bionicle Mask in bronze. So this is a bronze Bionicle Mask, one of a kind. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Does it connect? It sure does. It has an axle there on the bottom. But as you can imagine, the clutch on this is absolutely ridiculous. I can't get a piece off here without breaking it. That's how strong it clutches. So I sacrificed this one. And I said, all right, whatever attaches there is just going to attach there and it's going to be permanent. So this is the only thing like this of its kind. And yeah, it's kind of fun. Kind of fun. I miss Rory. He was a strange dude, yo. I miss hanging out. So yeah, I got a lot of ball joints in here, a lot of stuff like that. Here is here's the glow in the dark one. See there? But another thing I have in here, which, I mean, if you're not too familiar with Technic or Bionicle and stuff like that, you're not going to really be too familiar with this piece. So this, right, is just a kind of a friction thing. And what you can do with that is take, it's down there in another bin, but you could take one of those friction balls. Like, it looks like a voodoo ball, but the thing goes all the way through. Actually, I do have a voodoo ball on hand so I can show you this. So, like, say you're doing a mech, right? And this is where I originally got this. Say you're doing a mech, and you want the knees to stay in place. Actually, you can turn this around here and do it a different way. This will probably be better. So, yeah, you just have that attached to something like that, right? And then the plunger. Okay, that's not going to work too well doing it this way. But yeah, so I mean, it's a bit for mechs and things like that. But it's a fun little plunger. If it's not exactly a shock absorber because it doesn't spring back. But it does have a good degree of friction to it because going through there, it's an axle. And as you can see, looking in there, it does accept an axle. It's not just like a pin, or I mean like a Technic pin. So it's not going to be friction free. It does have quite a bit of friction in there. And it helps things to hold poses, especially larger mechs or older school larger mechs. Because, you know, it looks like hydraulics that, you know, are attached to the thing when you get it on there, it looks correct. So good times on that. What else do I have in here? Okay, this is something weird that I haven't been able to figure out what to do with. Look at here. There. Yeah, so what this is, where are those? Sometimes you have one thing going and you have another piece that actually goes with it at hand. So yeah, you see this here, and what that is just like this little cage. These little segments of cage. Okay, and they got a little bit of a bend to it, so you get enough of them together, you can get a curve, like so. But what this is actually for is for a ball to travel down. Okay. So the area that's in the center there is for that. And this is part of like Bionicle went through a launching things phase, and they used to launch those balls. And so this is where they would be housed. So that's another fun one. And of course, it's got the Technic pin there that it attaches as well. That's about it. But like, if you want to do something super creepy, you get enough of these together. You're made in the sun, made in the shade. Now, why would you be made in the sun? You're not iced tea. You're not going to be sun tea. Okay, this in there, and just do another rifle and see if there's anything else that stands out. I mean, of course, you have your Technic brick, essentially, with click hinge on it. Staple. It's a staple of mechs. Staple of old school builds. You have your Cyber Baby, as I like to think of them, or your ball joints with bricks, and then it's got the actual hole through. So that's the kind of stuff I keep in this drawer. Just things that will connect in that manner. Keeps my other collection areas, all my other sorting storage, free from huge bulky parts that are just going to make it impossible to find the stuff you actually want anyway. So there's that. And for the late arrivers, yes, that's right. Ali Boumaye. We have a goat in the house. Yeah, so just kind of doing a recap here. We're going to recap because I got that for the recap. Yes, the goat game from the recap. Hey, Melissa, what's going on? So we're gonna I'm gonna blow through everything except for like some of the stranger stuff we just looked at. Like if you really want to see the strange parts I have, just go back and watch, because like there are many. But going back to the video stuff, this handle bit does go through the part there, the round brick, 2x2, and we can use that as a spring in either direction here, horizontally or vertically. And of course, you put more of these together, you're going to have a stronger spring. So that's something with that. And then we also talked about, did I put it back in there? I didn't put it back in there. We also talked about here. A good way to set that up if you don't want it to turn is to set it on a 1x2 brick. And that way, it's not going to go anywhere. Plus, I mean, you can still do the springy bit if you wanted to, or you can just like set up a number of these and just make something amazing and decorative and beautiful. But yeah, just play around with this stuff, because like there are ways to keep it in place. We also took a look at the bracelet techniques for the DAS bracelets, keeping things up and tidy there, and the spacing in between, and attaching them to the lift arm. Boom. See? Beautiful. But what Brickanista did with hers, which I think was really brilliant, is she went and put more bracelets around on the inside to cover up those gaps and make it look more solid, which is a fantastic way to do that. But yeah, so lift arm or Technic beam, if that's your nomenclature. And then you take the pin to axle bit there, run that through, set a bushing on top, and it's going to be pretty solid. And then you can also just interconnect them using plates, which is a fun way to do it as well. And it opens you up to a lot of possibility on that. Yeah, so many parts you never seen before. But the great thing is, Robin, like all these parts are so cheap because nobody knows what to do with them. So I mean, that's where I've been getting them, just like grabbing them from Bricklink stores when I'm getting other stuff. And because when you tack it on, if it's not going to send up the if it's not going to send the shipping too high, and it's only going to be another 50 cents more for like 20 odd Bionicle bits, do it because it's the way to go for sure. Also talked about real quick the prints. I'm working on getting instructions for them, so we're gonna get there. We talked about the Micro City stuff. We talked about the video cases. Hooded One showed us awesomely how that curve is in system, the curvature that goes around here, and he's going to post something online, so check it out. Hooded One, he's on Instagram. It's Dutch Hooded One, I think, on there. But yeah, so there's that. The connection points that we use on here, of course, we have the old school or the new school turntable, right? And then the gap in between that, how to take up that gap with these round plates that also have that snap bit, and then the round bit that has the ring. You can just snap those into that, make that little depressed area underneath, snap that over, and we are flush, and we can still spin. So that's a way I got to connect that. And then also pretty much anything you're going to attach that to, you're going to be able to go through. And then that makes it so much more versatile on top of that. So yeah, you got a couple of things there you can do. I'm trying to see what else I got on here. Also, if you wanted to, and this is something that I just did to keep these together, if you put the Vidiyo handles through a bracelet there, or bracelet through the Vidiyo handles. There we go. Strike that. Reverse it. So you can see it kind of keeps it in place pretty well because, like we said earlier, that is a little bit longer or wider than 2 studs. So that gives you that extra little bit that's going to keep it in place. And you can even go so far as to spread it out like that, something like that. So yeah, that's another little bit of versatility you got with these. We talked about lighting things, which honestly isn't that exciting. Not compared to this. Not compared to that, folks. This is where it's at. Yeah. I'm glad you could use the tips there, Brickanista. I'm glad I figured out something that I wasn't able to use in my thing that actually ended up helping you out. But we're gonna take a look at the king real quick because I'm gonna show you what I did with the DOS bracelet technique there. Because as you can see, these are really tight and close together. But when you do it on system and when you use the back of the holes, you're going to have a gap between each one. So what I did on this, see if I can, come on now, without being too damaging. There we go. Off with his head. And how is he connected? Same way. Got that turntable bit. Okay, so take a look back on the back side of the head here. You see just a series of bracelets all set up next to each other. But what I have, and you can kind of, so hopefully it's not going to be too bright. Back up a little bit. What you can see here is I have a cylinder that I constructed using those curve slopes on plates anchored by snot bricks, corner bricks, and then attached with a bar running through those to make these 2 cylinders together, but leaving enough gap in between so it goes back in the system and the king pops right on the thing. So yeah, as you can see, there's just right next to each other, no gaps. And that does influence, of course, where I have the tiles there on the front, because you can see there's a little bit of a gap in between them. But I think it makes no real difference once you see that all together. So yeah, to do that, you pretty much have to create an arm. Like I brick built practically like a cylinder arm for these bracelets to go onto and slide across. But what I did have to do, because as you can see here, with that attachment point, is that goes a little bit inside. So you have to make a little bit of a recess for that to sit into. So what I did here is I built a cylinder, but like on one part of the cylinder, I just left the curve slopes off, and then that sets perfectly right inside there. And I mean, this is nice and tight. They don't rotate or anything like that. This is the thing. And that's actually what I was working on when I came up with this technique that I couldn't end up using, because I mean, that made these flimsy. And I tried to do another thing too, where I had an axle going down the center and then bars extending from that and looping in like this. So that way you could turn them around that central axis, which actually would have been a good thing to illustrate here today. However, I am only thinking of that right now, right at the end. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go. We're gonna get ready to head out of here. I'm gonna go check out Hooded One's post and see what other things we can do with the curvature on that. Because I think I know exactly what he's talking about, but I have those pieces like inaccessible to me right now, so I want to go double check that. But yeah, so thanks again to Remy and Yano. This is like the second thing I won. on random winning, not like submitting my thing to a thing. So yeah, we got the goat, we got those dot pieces. And then the other thing I won was from Brickman Mosaics Art, which is a sweet little deal with the Friends flower set with the lavender bits. But like, this little thing is so small. So small. Look at that, compared to a Friends horse, compared to a modern Friends horse. And, you know, this goat is going to be treated like a king because it's the goat. It's the greatest of all time, right? Yeah. So thanks, everybody, for checking out and stopping in and seeing things. I tried to keep it as weird as I could with all the strange little bits. I didn't get to Trolls felt pieces or anything like that just because, I mean, I didn't. There's really only one good way to use them. Yeah, we do need new goats. That is true. That is very true. It's a cute little goat, but I mean, we could definitely have more colors of goats. Like, there can be a gray goat. There could be more goats. There really could. But thanks, everybody, for stopping by and checking things out. If you want to see more strange pieces, go back to the beginning of the stream and rewatch it. There's a lot of weirdness we tapped on today. And we also talked about the Brickheads. We talked about Micropolis, the mini cities. Talked about the Monkey Kid Pigsy's noodle thing. Once again, I'll just show that real quick on the way out. Yeah, so tried to keep it strange and weird and interesting and fun. Thanks, Robin. But yeah, so this thing, if you want a Monkey Kid set, if you don't want a Monkey Kid set, if you just want something sweet and awesome made out of Lego that is not going to be your typical average everyday vehicle, this is the way to go for sure. Get down, check it out. It is set number 80026, Pigsy's noodle tank. Look at that thing. Oh my God, it's so brilliant. All right. So yeah, thanks again, everybody, for hanging out, checking things out. Thanks, so did one for the tip. I'm going to go check that out right now. And yeah, we're going to be doing this again next week, or for at least in the foreseeable future until things materialize in a different manner. But when you know, if I do have to change the time slot, I'm not going to just drop the stream. We're just going to be changing the time slot, and we're going to keep going with this because this is strange and weird and fun. And I learn things here. Y'all hopefully learn things here. If not, hopefully I'm foolish enough to be entertaining. We'll see where we go with that. But thanks again, everybody. Check out all the things in all the places. Check out Brickanista. Check out Tricky Bricks. Check out Hooded One on Instagram. Check out Robin on Instagram, who has been making some brilliant things with the bride and groom set. So definitely go and check that out. But yeah, hashtag rebrick this July 21, the bride or the groom brickhead set. You got till was it the 25th or 23rd this time around? One of the two. But yeah. So anyway, take care. We'll talk to you all later. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out and things. And I'm gonna go get some food because I'm a little bit famished. And honestly, I think I'm losing brain parts right now. Stranger Things and Lego parts. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Bon voyage. Peace. All the things. See you.